She's a former teacher. She owns her own company, which you'll hear all about. She's just been made the deputy, is it lieutenant or lieutenant? We don't know, do we? But it's one of those, and that's a really brilliant thing that you've achieved. And she's also the reigning Woman of the Year. So we are delighted to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a massive round of applause for Fleur Sexton!
It's absolutely lovely to be here today. I'd just like to thank Sandra for inviting me, and Holly and Emma, fantastic to hear from them. Really inspirational stories, fantastic, just wonderful. So basically, the business that I'm going to tell you about today is called Pet Exide Training, and it's a business that I set up in 1995, co-founded with my husband. I used to be a French teacher, and I didn't actually intend to start a business. That wasn't ever the plan. So all I was doing was what I loved, what I was passionate about, and I think that is pretty much the key message that you will get from me today, and always do what you are passionate about. Don't base it on what's going to make the most money, base it on what you are passionate about, because nothing else will see you through the bad times, and there will be lots of them in business because it can be tough, as you all know. So this is the team. We've currently got 500 full and part-time staff. We've got 85 full-time staff who are based in Westwood Heath, Westwood Business Park in Coventry. So I run the office, I run the company. We've got an office up in Sheffield as well, but the main head office is in Coventry. So 500 staff, it takes a lot of management, and I've got a fantastic team who I've built up over the years, but it certainly hasn't just happened. So what we do currently is we work in 3 specific areas. So the first one is working with schools. We work with young people, getting them up from what was a D to a C, and it's now actually, it's changed, so it's now a 4 to a 5. We get young people up a grade. We've worked with 150,000 young people to date. We also work with community groups, so we work with women, getting them back into work after career breaks. We work with homeless people, getting them into a position where they can actually get a job, apply for jobs, get the confidence back. We work with ex-veterans. We work with all sorts of people who need that push to get back into a place where they want to be. And we also work with companies, working with them, helping them bridge that skills gap, getting maximum profitability and efficiency within their business so they can really do what they are, fulfill their potential and do what they're here for. So how did that all begin? Basically, I was working as a teacher, and there was 2 specific moments, and I think you always get that moment where everything becomes slightly different and you just see something in a new way. And I was working in the north of Paris, very difficult area. It was part of my French degree, and my husband had just finished his MSc and his degree, and he'd come out with me. And I was working in a school where it was very difficult for young people to get a job when they left. So it was very hard for them. It was very high unemployment. Social mobility was not really something that featured for them. There wasn't this chance of moving on and being whatever you wanted to be. It just wasn't that sort of environment. So teaching them English when they had no chance of going to England, they got no interest in it whatsoever. I had to go back a step and actually get them to really get that energy and that desire to move forward. And it was at that point that I realised that yes, I loved teaching, and I still do, but the thing that was really interesting for me was social mobility, breaking barriers, and that is something to this day that I absolutely love, and that is my key strength. So breaking barriers, and that's all I do. Day on day, day in, day out is all about breaking barriers of some form. So I did that, and then that's me with my group at the first picture there on the far side. Then I came back and I was working at Exall Grange, which is a school for children. At the time it was for children with problems with vision, so sight impaired children, and I was trying to teach them French. Very, very difficult to do so, because a lot of learning a language is all about the length of the words, the shape of words. It's very much part of how you learn. So that's where Pet XI actually began, because I put together a product for these children just to help them learn. So it was very much about, same thing, problem solving. It was about barrier breaking. This time it wasn't social mobility, it was about physical barrier of not having sight, trying to use different things to actually help these children in my class. And there was only a handful of them, but that is pretty much where Pet XI began. So I had no intention of selling this product. I got no real interest in starting a business. I just loved teaching, I loved solving problems, and that's what I did. People said, oh, it's a really good product, you should try and sell it. We made a flyer, the local authority got really interested, and that is where it all began. So, from there, I think the main thing for me, as we began to pioneer new methods, it was just me as a trainer, but then I took on somebody else as a trainer, and we took on quite difficult projects, and it was all about pioneering new methods. And even now, with all the trainers, the 500 people that are working on the Pet XI vision, it's all about, what would you do if you weren't paid for it? I don't want people who don't want to be doing it, who are just doing it for money. It's not what's going to make that impact, and that it's not what's going to change lives, which essentially is what we are doing every single day. We're giving people the confidence to smash through their barriers and really move on in their world. So I want people who can, XI stands for explosive inspiration. I want people who can give that energy, can really, really make things happen for other people, and who put other people before themselves, who are really, really passionate. So the way we actually train is it's very fast paced. We'll go into schools, we'll go into businesses, we'll work with homeless, unemployed people, whoever it is, and it's 5 days. We'll work with a very specific outcome in mind. We will have a team of 4 people. We'll break down the role of teacher into 4 component parts. So you've got your lead, who is all about the energy, the exuberance, the momentum and the pace. They've got nothing to do with education. They might have been a red coat, a restaurant manager, a bar manager. All they do is they bring the classroom alive. Then you've got the PGCE qualified teacher, then you've got 2 supports. So it's really important that they love what they do. So big part of my job is to make sure that everybody is trained up to this absolute point that they love what they are doing, and that shines out of them. So it's all about pace, it's all about establishing what they need to learn and getting to the point very quickly that they actually understand, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it, I can actually do it. I never thought I had this skill, I never thought I could ever get to this point. So it's all about confidence and momentum to push them through to where they want to get to. Very measurable targets, and if we don't get the results, we don't charge, because I don't want money for what I've not done. I will promise and I will deliver, and that is what we have got a reputation for doing. So all of the people at Pet XI do what they love, and I say to them, there's this really good saying, if you don't like what you're doing, move, you're not a tree. And that is a really crucial thing. You know, if people don't like what they're doing, life is short and precious, so it's really important to do what you really love doing. So I think a big message from me as well is to start with what you've got. There is no perfect point to start a business. It is never going to happen. And for me, when I started the business, like I said, I never intended to start a business, but I did. And when it actually came to I had my first child, I realised that who's going to look after this business, because there was only me, so what was I going to do? So my mum very kindly offered to come in and cover for me while I was in hospital. Now, this was 18 years ago, and she's here today in her pink scarf. You'll see her, there she is. And she's still at Pet XI. So the boy that's there, he's my son, and he's now an apprentice at Pet XI. He did very well in his GCSEs, but he didn't want to stay at school. He wanted to come into the business, which, to be honest, is not surprising, because he's been dragged around since he was about 3 years old with me to everything. So I've seen a couple of babies here today, and I think it's brilliant. It's really, it's how I did it, and it works. You know, it really does. You're really educating them in business. It's fantastic. So I think for me, it was all about start with what you've got. What had I got? I was working in that room down there is my granddad's spare room in his house. That was my office. So I was working in my granddad's spare room. I'd got a baby and I'd got my mum, and that was pretty much Pet XI for quite a few years. So Jake there with my mum, that's when he was 18, she'd been there for 18 years, and he presented her with a bouquet. And I think that sense of family has been a crucial part of how I have built the business, because there's this really good saying that I apply not just to my family but also to the business as a whole, and it's that the family is just a group of imperfect people who refuse to give up on each other, and that is how I run the business. So we have lots of ups and downs with trainers, with different members of staff, but we fix them. We work through them and we fix them, and that is a crucial thing, because you're never going to find the perfect employee. You're never going to get to that. Well, obviously, you know, my mum has been perfect for me all the way through. She's been my biggest fan. But generally, as you extend that, you're not going to find that. So you've got to really work hard to bring people in and make them part of the family, the business family. I carried on teaching for the next 5 years, so it was very much part of an ongoing process, getting into the business and actually building the business up. So how did we get from a single product in my granddad's spare room to currently what we've got, which is 80 products, and we work from Newcastle down to Cornwall, so across the whole of the country. So I think the big message that's come out from the other speakers is that you're not going to have a clear run. You're not going to have it that it just works really well all the time. It just doesn't happen. And for me, every time the government changes, everything changes about education. So every time the government changes, they change what they want, they change the goals, they change the challenges, and they change the league tables, what's accepted and what they want. So we have to keep reinventing as a company what we offer. So 5 years in, I had my second child, Kate, who is here today with me, videoing me here at the front. And when she was born, she was very, very ill, and she was 6 weeks in intensive care. And we didn't think, we were told that she wouldn't survive, but thankfully, thank God, she did. But at that point, that would have been the point really when the business could and should have closed. And if it wasn't for the fantastic network of people, that would have happened. So when I came out of the hospital, having had her, thankfully bringing her out with us, I knew that she needed a lot of care, and I knew I wouldn't be travelling around the place. So I took on a salesman that I could not afford, and we had to remortgage the house, and it was a really, really good decision. I was working doing bits and bobs for the local authority just to pay his salary and the money that we put on the mortgage. But at that point as well, the government completely changed everything, and the languages that we were working on that were the main product were no longer compulsory, and literally people stopped buying the products overnight because children could do different GCSEs. They didn't want to do languages when they could do music or photography or different things like that. So completely overnight had to reinvent the offer, and we went into the vocational products, which were really good. We've got some really, really good trainers at this point. That worked really well until 2010, when the government changed everything all over again. And the products that we built up, the vocational products, completely wiped out because they were no longer on the league tables. So it was all about GCSE. So at that point, I had to think, what am I going to do? Saw the 2010, got the accountants in, and they basically said, you've got to make people redundant. Cut your losses now, you'll keep the house. If you keep going, you'll lose everything. Now, I didn't tell the accountant at this point I was 8.5 months pregnant, having my 3rd child, because he used to always say to me, he always used to say, what do you do that for, Fleur? What do you do that for? And I thought, oh my God, if he sees me, if I stand up, he's gonna definitely say his catchphrase. So I used to just sit there and wave like the Queen when he'd leave, and it was really important for me at that point that I had all these trainers that I'd taken on, and they'd given me huge commitment, and I could not just make them all redundant like he told me to. So I got rid of him, I got a new accountant, and remortgaged the house, and that was a crucial move. So I'd got a baby, A couple of weeks later, Mum covered for me. You know, I was in there having my third child, and she came in to see me. And I remember saying to her and my husband, "Has anybody sent anything? You know, are there any deliveries or anything?" And she said the printers had sent a bouquet. One of the schools had sent a teddy, and the recruitment agent that we used had sent the bailiffs. So that's the position that we were in. But we were still going. So when we came out, when I came out of hospital, me and Lara, I created a new product. This was about GCSE. It's called High Five. 5 days, and you do a GCSE revision, we'll move them up a grade. I had no idea this was going to work. Absolutely no idea. And I'll be honest, the first lot of courses were a total disaster, because we said to schools, give us all your D grades, we'll turn them into C grades, and we didn't test at the beginning, so they gave us, you can imagine what sort of level they gave us. They just thought, wow, this is like Christmas come twice. And we got students who were G, F, all sorts of grades. So we started testing. We fine-tuned it as we went, but we just had to chuck something in as the new product in the market. And I remember saying to the salesman, this is the best product we have ever had. This is the best product you will ever sell. And if it isn't, it's the last product you'll ever sell, because this is it, I have got nothing else. So that was it. So it was just the one at the time, he went out and he absolutely sold the hell out of it, and it was fantastic. I was training, everybody was training, we were delivering it, we were writing it as we were going along. It was literally our last shot, and it worked. We put everything into it and it worked. So we were still there, we were still in business, and we were definitely on the up. There was at that point probably no down, so we were definitely on the up. So I think the thing that's been a crucial thing for me over the years is giving back, because I feel incredibly grateful that I have had such an incredible group of people around me, an amazing network of people. Coventry is fantastic for this, and seeing Trish and Laura and Carol get the awards, the joint award, is just so lovely, because that is how, seeing them all walk up holding hands, that is how Coventry works. That is why Coventry works. And that's how I've built my business. It's very much about people helping each other and working together. So I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, because they were incredibly good to me in the early years. They were very, very supportive, and in those formative years, they were really great to me. And I remember Ajay Desai saying, he saw me about 6 months ago, and he said, it's the first time I've ever seen you without a kid with you. And I said, oh no, he's with me, it's just that he's now 18 and he's grown up and he's an apprentice. So having people that have been with you over that length of time and supported you all the way through is really great, and I would urge all of you, make the most of these wonderful connections. So Coventry 2021, we were bid sponsors for that. We bought an office in Coventry as part of our commitment to the area as well. And I'm very involved with the Coventry Warwickshire Champions, the NSPCC board, Historic Coventry, WASPs, the Blaze. There's so many amazing charities and organisations that I would say get involved and support, because you will do so much good, and you'll get so much energy, and you'll give so much energy. And to me, that's what business is about. It's about being part of your community and really making a difference to the world that we're all part of. So part of what we do as well is we change the community that we work with through providing people with skills. So we set up a digital skills revolution, and that was important for us, because when you look at the skills gaps, when you look at what businesses are saying about young people coming through, they want people who are more employable, they want people that have got IT qualifications, who can come in and talk to people, who can actually have conversations and have got those soft skills. We will look at that side of the training, but we'll also look at the IT skills. So during the run up to I think it was the Brexit vote, David Davis came to the company because he wanted to meet young people and all that side of things. So we decided that was the perfect point to launch the digital skills revolution. So David Davis actually launched our digital skills revolution. He didn't know that until he arrived, and there were pop-ups all over the place, and he was there, and we were having all the photos taken. But that was a crucial moment for us, because that was getting into a new world of the commercial side of things, which has been a big part for us as we're moving forward. we were doing really well with unemployed people, getting them into work, but then Andy Street, Martin Yardley from the council said, well, why not look at homeless people? You know, you want a challenge, take this one. And it's been a real challenge for us, but it's been amazing and really very, very rewarding work. So we've been upskilling, looking at those skills gaps, and that's something that we've done a lot of work with in the last couple of years, and we're going to be doing a lot more moving forward. So moving on, I think looking at how we can give back is what business is all about, because it's about service, it's about making the community a better place, and all businesses that are successful, for me, they're first of all built on passion, and secondly, they're people doing things that truly make a difference. And all of those things come through all the staff that I've got. I look for this relentless optimism, and that is the cornerstone of what PetXI is built on. So 150,000 young people so far. We're looking at building on this every single year. And I think that the key to working with young people is about complete lack of any sense of being judgmental. So you just don't know why the person that you're working with is in the particular state that they're in, are stroppy with you, are behaving in a certain way, are telling you they don't want to be there, are trying to get themselves chucked out of the class. That's not for us to judge. All we've got to do is be total, pure energy and get them on side. So if somebody turns up late, our trainers will always be, brilliant, you're here now, that's fantastic. If somebody's rude to them, they'll ignore it. If they get their phones out, they'll ignore it. That bad behaviour is generally something just to try and get a reaction. And if you don't take notice of it, it will fall away. So that is what our methodology is based on, always looking for the positive. And it is a very, very good way to work with young people. And some of the young people who people can't get results with any other place, they will come to us as sort of last chance saloon. So that is a fantastic thing. I think as women, a big thing for me is that sometimes we don't work well enough together. I think we've got to, there's this wonderful saying that when I won Businesswoman of the Year, I said my year would be about promoting this idea that real queens fix each other's crowns. And that is crucial to us as women. We have got to stick together. We have got to help each other up when we fall down. We've got to completely lack that sense of judgment when it comes to looking for the little holes or the little cracks in people, and actually help people to be the best version of themselves. And I think sometimes as well as women, we ask for permission too much. And I would never do this. So when I've got the 3 children young, my youngest is now 8, but when they were little, I would turn up with a child. I wouldn't ask permission. I wouldn't say to the bank manager, oh, I've got my little boy with me, is it okay if I bring him? He'd be like, no, I'm bringing him, and here he is, and get over it. So I think we've got to be a lot more like that and reinvent the rules to fit our situation. And if people don't like it, well, that's not your problem, that's not our problem, it's their problem. So just get on with it and just say, this is the way I'm doing it, and here I am. You know, it's the only way to actually get on in business, I'm pretty sure. So one of the things that we do at PetXI is we do free childcare for staff over the holidays. And that is because again, it's all about problem solving. One of the things I had was it was a woman who was very good, and she said that she couldn't stay because she was a single mum and she hadn't got childcare for the holidays. So we set up a childcare scheme at the company. I mean, it's easier for us than a lot of people because obviously we've got all the trainers and everything. But that was a very, very good thing, and people felt valued. It's really good for the kids because they see people that they have as role models. They can see different areas of work. It's fantastic all round. And I think just looking for different ways to solve problems and different ways to make your life work as a woman working. And you've obviously and often got very difficult demands on your time and different people wanting things from you and different commitments. And you've just got to somehow, I think it's a bit like spaghetti. Somebody said to me once, my life was like spaghetti, and I think it's true. It's all mixed up in one pot. You can't have like the home life, the work life, it's all just sort of mixed into one. And I think part of the trick is making that work for us in a way that fits our life. There is no rule book. You know, you make it up as you go along, and people who pretend there's a rule book, they're lying. And people who pretend it goes easy or they've done everything well and they've made good decisions, again, it's probably is probably lies, because a lot of people try to portray that things are easier than they are, and I think as women it's really important that we're actually honest with each other and say it doesn't go easy. A lot of the time the people who succeed are the ones who can take the most crap, and that is a fact. You know, you just have to keep getting on, put your lipstick on, as the speakers have said earlier, and you just get on with it. So I think, you know, we owe each other the honesty to say, if we have trouble and issues, we need to talk to each other and draw on those networks, these amazing networks like we've got here today. You know, get to know each other, get that strength from each other. I, for one, am always here. If anybody wants to contact me, you know, any time for advice, it's never a problem. So, celebrating success. I think we've got to take part in wonderful events like this, because it's so important that we celebrate each other. We make the most of the time that we've got together, because life is short and life is precious, and we are doing an amazing job by putting the things that we are passionate about into use, into the community. We're making it that people can actually have better lives using our products and services. So I think that is something that we need to celebrate. We need to get involved in helping each other to celebrate that as well, because sometimes it's very easy just to get on with doing the doing and not to step back and say, look how far we have come, look how much we've done. It's fantastic. So part of what we're doing moving forward is to keep growing, to keep looking for new opportunities, to take that optimism that took me from the bedroom in my granddad's house to a business that this year has just topped £10 million turnover, and a vision that is very clear and resolute and very firmly rooted in the community that I'm lucky enough to be a part of. I think looking at the challenges that are coming forward, you can't really know what's going to happen. So you've just got to always be flexible. You've got to always be ready to jump on the new opportunity. I think having a business plan that goes 3 or 5 years is really dangerous, because it stops you looking at the things that are coming that you just don't know about. I think it's very much like sailing a ship, you know, sailing a boat. You've got to just be ready to see where the waves take you, and you've really got to just be looking for those opportunities as they pop up. So I would say the key for me is celebrating what we have, looking at what's coming in the future, and really helping each other to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And I'm truly honoured to be part of the business world of Coventry and Warwickshire, and I would just like to say thank you very much, all of you who have supported me, and I would love to support all of you in any way that I ever could. Thank you very much.